So we have been using the LINQ to entity queries. We've been looking at them in the controllers. And so this is just kind of a review, but I did want to talk a little bit about async because when we scaffold our controllers, that is what Entity Framework is generating for us. And a lot of the examples in the book are not using async. So basically, what async is doing is it's freeing up your system so it can work on other requests while it is waiting for the database to execute the query. So it's trying to take advantage of multi-threading, okay, the ability to run multiple commands. Without async, if you execute a command and it has to wait for the database to complete the command, you're kind of in a stall phase. And if you use async, basically it says, okay, while you're waiting, you can do other stuff. And then when it's ready, it'll let you know and you can continue executing the command. So async is more efficient in a large database. Okay, for the little databases that we're going to be working with, I don't think you're going to find any faster processing, but in a larger database, it is something that you should use. So it does not hurt to get used to using it now. So you'll notice that any command that has async, uh, it is prefixed with await. You will also notice that the method's return data type is async task. Okay, so here we've got the return data type async task. Here we've got find async, and it's prefixed with await. So that is basically the difference as far as coding goes. Okay, but under the hood, there is quite a bit of difference in how it's going to process. So here's another one. We've got first or default, where it kind of looks for the first row that meets the criteria. And then we've got first async, first or default async. And again, the only difference here as far as coding is that your return data type is async task and your code is prefixed with await. And then at the end of your command, you throw on async. That is the difference, but under the hood, kind of a big difference in processing. Okay, so to list, this is how we put together more than one. And then we've got order by descending, which is for sorting. And we have looked at all of these in the past. So the only thing that's a little different here is whether you're going to use async or not. And if you generate controllers using the scaffolding that's built into Entity Framework, it is going to generate these controllers using async. Projections. So this is something new. Basically, a projection uses a LINQ select to retrieve only some of the properties. So instead of retrieving everything in the row, it's only retrieving selective properties. The best way to do this is to use a data transfer object, which does require creating another class. So you would create some type of DTO class where you have two properties, a value and text. And then typically in the value, this would be more like a key. And then you've got the text that you want to display, which is going to be non-standard. Okay, this is why you are doing a projection to begin with. So instead of just retrieving the first name and the last name, we want to combine them. Okay, so we're retrieving the book author and then we're combining first and last name. We want to store those together so that when we pass it to the view, we're going to connect a drop down list to the author ID, but we're going to display the author's name information. Okay, so that's kind of the idea behind at least this one. So, how they're doing it is a value and then whatever text they want displayed in that drop down list. So, there are advantages of using the data transfer objects. Basically, you can hide particular properties that clients are not supposed to view. Obviously, you can see that because we are not retrieving all of the properties that are stored in the table. We're only retrieving 3. And omitting some of the properties reduces the payload size, which means that it's more efficient, right? Instead of retrieving everything, passing along everything, if we're only going to use a couple of little pieces, this is way more efficient. Uh, it also, you're avoiding over posting vulnerabilities. So we're kind of limiting our vulnerabilities this way. And if we did have nested objects, okay, it kind of flattens that out. So those are advantages. If you want to know more about DTOs, I did include a link, but this is not something that I'm going to make you do. I do want you to understand what a projection is and what a DTO is.